Welcome to Faces and Places. I'm your host, Mike Romai. There are a number of stories about hauntings in Butler County, perhaps none more famous than the Harmony Inn. It's where we are today, the Harmony Inn in Harmony, Pennsylvania. It was built in 1856. It was a stopover for many railroad cars over the years. It has been reported that there are spirits throughout the Harmony Inn. Spirits of young children. On the second floor, many children were quarantined here in earlier years because of illnesses. There are guests who have been to the Harmony Inn who talk about silverware flying from tables, china coming off of closets, and of course the sound of footsteps throughout the Harmony Inn. The present-day owners are Chris and John Barnes. It has been in the Barnes family for 22 years now, and they all have stories to tell. Our guests on the program will be Charlotte and EILEEN, better known as the Angel Ladies. They pick up spirits, angels if you will, throughout the Harmony Inn. Let's go inside. It's quiet now, but there's plenty of activity that goes on here at the Harmony Inn, from present-day spirits to spirits from yesteryear. We're joined by Chris Barnes. Chris and his brother John are the owners of the Harmony Inn. It's been in the Barnes family for 22 years. Chris, you've been working here for 15 years.
Yeah.
Right. What's so special about the Harmony Inn? When we talk about spirits, have you experienced anything here?
I've never seen like a ghost figure or anything, but I've seen like ashtrays fall off the tables, just glasses falling off the tables with no one being around. I heard my name being called with no one around, so it's just stuff like that. Stuff out of the corner of my eyes all the time, but that's about it, really.
I've heard some of the people say that they don't like to come up to the second floor. It's where we are now, by themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I would get that feeling every once in a while. Sometimes I feel fine, and sometimes I don't feel alone. So,
now, this was handed down to you from your father.
Yeah.
Did he tell you any stories?
Actually, when I was a kid, he used to sleep in this room over here. He had his own bedroom, and he told me a story where he was bartending, and he went up and turned the lamp off on the desk, and then he went back downstairs. When he came back up, the lamp was actually turned on, sitting in the middle of the doorway here. So that was one of my first stories I heard. So.
Okay. And there are also things that have happened in the bar.
Yes, we've had a bartender whose name is Bob. He was closing up, and there's one customer in the bar. They're sitting all the way down at the end, and he had all the stools up on the table. And then when he looked over, he saw like a guy in this like old clothing, like an old hat, just staring at this lady. He took the chair off the table and threw it onto the floor, and she had to be pretty much carried out to her car.
Some fascinating things that have gone on in here. And the Harmony Inn, besides great food, is what they're known for, is like a haunted house.
It sure is, yeah.
Yeah. Well, what are the stories? Now, back in the day, back in 1856 when it was built, this was also a stopping point for trains that went by the area. But also, some of the spirits that supposedly live here at the Harmony Inn are those of children.
Correct, yes. We've had a couple of psychics that came here, said we were told up to 11 spirits, and the majority of them are children, because when this used to be a hotel, they had like scarlet fever going around, and children passed away here, and so that's it.
Historic Harmony, haunted Harmony. I first came to the Harmony Inn back in the year 2000. Did a radio program here to find out about the spirits that supposedly lived here. I learned a lot about the Harmony Inn. As you look around now, don't see anything, but according to the Angel Ladies, there's plenty of activity going on in this second floor room. Used to be a hotel room here at the Harmony Inn. We're joined by the Angel Ladies, EILEEN and Charlotte. Good evening, EILEEN.
Hi, how are you? I'm so happy to be here tonight.
And this is Charlotte.
Nice to be here.
All right. As I said, there's nothing, I feel nothing, I see nothing going on in this room right now, but according to you ladies, there's plenty of activity going on around us.
There's actually like 3 different time periods running through here as we stand here now. There's an older lady. There's a lot of emphasis on children in this room right now. Sick children. This lady comes through. She helps with children that have been exposed to TB. This room is where she fed them. This room is where they were kind of quarantined at one time. We're talking about in the Victorian era. That's one different time period that's going on in this particular room.
Eileen, what is it you see? What are you feeling right now?
Well, this room fascinates me every time that I have come here. There's a woman that walks around with a wooden bowl, and she is stirring. At one point, I see her have some type of glass jar, bottle type of thing, and it looks like she's pouring syrup in it. And I often think, an energy with her is that it's a syrup. It's a syrup that she's given them, like maybe corn syrup, and she's trying to help them swallow the food because they're having such a hard time digesting. The other phenomenon that occurs in energy, there's two children that are very vivid. Calvin is a little boy, about 6 years old, and there's a little girl that comes through, and as we're talking, there's a vibration coming up. Do you feel that, Mike? There's kind of an energy going through. There's like, because as we start to talk about them and name them, their energy comes through, and we're talking about 1863, I believe this house was built. I don't know quite if anybody's ever determined that year. As far as I know, the Historical Society has not. But the energy comes from that time period, and then we start into about 1920. I start picking up a lot of activity about what has occurred.
There's a lot going on in the 20s because there was a big boom with money, cards, all kinds of things going on here. I feel it is the card games were played over on the other side, but I'm also feeling like someone with the money in the back room. So there was, in the back room there, because they're bringing the money back. So there was a lot. It's like a bordello feel, is what I want to say.
Speak
Okay.
easy.
All right.
Speak
I'm
easy.
sure Chris would want to know about the people with the money in the back
Yeah, that's
room.
right. Well, the money in the back room, what happens to the restaurant owners here, we've known them for quite a long time, but the money flies. So when they're counting the money's just blowing away up and down. And that's the energy of the spirit people coming in, because, of course, the money means nothing to them, because on the other side, you can't take it with you.
Maybe we should have been here whenever they were counting the money. What do you think? Why are they still here?
A lot of them are here because of unfinished business. The lady that I feel real strong in this room really cared about the children. And she was not only a teacher, but she was a healer as well. So she invested her life in these kids, and she still comes back to make sure that that they're taken care of and they're not alone, and they kind of get stuck in a replay. It's an amazing thing. Some go right onto the light and they're not confined or connected to the physical, but this lady was certainly connected to the physical because she really valued these children. So it's like she wanted to stay here rather than to go. And then you just kind of get stuck. And then you don't find a way out.
And the owners have told me that one of the times, or the time most often that the spirits or the angels appear is when they're doing some sort of remodeling.
Oh, yeah, because you're disturbing their presence of energy where they were familiar with. So as they, plan to do other things with the building, activity will become more intense, as it will tonight as we tape in different rooms. You should see things moving and making noise as we go through it.
Now, Eileen, let me ask you, are these angels of harmony, or was this a sad place?
You know what? There is, we could not be attracted to the Harmony Inn if it was not harmonized with energy at one point. This was a building of celebration. It had connections into the city of Pittsburgh. And, Charlotte and I know that because we worked in the Boggs Mansion, and we talked to the energy there, and this house was so connected with energy here, which was amazing, and how the people of the day, some were of wealth and some were not, and some were sadness, but the house is still alive with that energy of entertaining and showing compassion, which is what this home has done. As a celebration of people coming to eat and celebrate and take a time period back as you come. And that's what it's all about. That's how the spirits have stayed put. And the children come because there's joy brought back in. That's what brings it in. That's the angels of harmony. That's the angels of joy. So yes, we do have a positive side as well.
And what is it that makes them present themselves to different people? They don't present themselves to everyone, but there are guests and there are workers who have been here who have seen them. When do they choose to come out?
Well, they're always here. There's imprints as far as in objects, in the walls, in things that you can never erase them. Some people are more in tune to things, have more senses, the sixth sense, or more ability to see what's going on the other side. But some people just analyze it away. You know, they see something and they say, oh, that couldn't be it, I'm just seeing things. Or I got to get my eyes checked because I thought I seen something here. You know, so they see it, but yet they won't really believe it. But it always goes on, it always goes on. Sometimes people like EILEEN and I, when we come into a place, it's like all of the spirit people will say, it's time to party. So they'll come out so they can talk. And that's what they want to do, they want to communicate. And a lot of them talk about history, you know, the history of the house.
Are they having a party now, EILEEN?
Oh yeah, they're excited. I couldn't sit in the one room by myself while Charlotte had left the room for a minute. I'm like, okay, you guys, take it easy, because you feel the vibration of everybody starting to entertain, and they're entertaining everything. We have a bar in the one room in this place they have, and so there's a celebration of drinking in there, and where everybody's just releasing, and as this too was a place that they made in the backyard,
Sure. Okay.
They had it,
Is there any one particular room more than other where the spirits or the angels tend to congregate?
One particular room in this home, I would have to say almost every space in this whole mansion has enough of activity going on in it.
There was also a suicide here?
Yes.
Oh yeah, going down the steps. That's a gentleman, yeah.
Let's go there.
Pretty well documented, so let's go down and check that out.
Ornate staircase, creaking hardwood floors, and classic woodwork throughout. This is the Harmony Inn. I'm Mike Romai, your host, and we're joined by the Angel Ladies, who are coming across names like Jonathan, Clara. They see things that we don't see. Who's here with us tonight?
Jonathan feels like an energy coming in right now. He walked up to Charlotte and I. We feel like there's a doctor's energy around him, and it's because Jonathan loses his life on these stairways.
Tell us, who is Jonathan, and how did he lose his life here?
He's a gentleman that was, he's dressed all in a black shirt and black pants. He feels Puritan energy, harmonist energy, and he's wearing a hat.
Beard.
Yeah, he's got a long beard. He's not very satisfied with the way his life has gone. It feels like a lot of his money has disappeared through things that he was working through. Felt like he was a businessman at one point in his life. And he decides to take his life. And when you get about halfway down the steps, about where the camera is, you can, your heart, the energy comes through the body, that the heart rate gets real high, and then you feel a controlled energy going to your neck, like a choking energy. And then as you go back through the steps, further down, then it releases. And it feels like he replays it out for whatever reason. We could be on the anniversary right now of his time passing.
This is the staircase where he took his own life?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It's definitely a staircase, because there's a loop there, and that's what I keep seeing, the rope, and I keep seeing them jump, dive in there. Tall, very thin man, maybe 130 pounds. He's tall, thin man.
I also feel like, though, there was a lot of despair around him, but there was also a connection with a child here as well. So I feel like from him that he lost everything. He lost his family, lost everything. And I feel like he stayed here. And this was the other thing. He couldn't pay. He didn't have any money. He just felt a lot of despair. And that's exactly what I'm feeling with him today. But when we come up the stairway, it's really hard to breathe. It gets really hard to breathe. But then you start that choking sensation that goes on all the time with him. But for him, he keeps replaying that same thing.
And then there's a lady, Pearl, that keeps coming to the steps. It looks like she's looking over on the other side of the staircase. She keeps looking
Trying to
down.
help him.
Like she's coming out of her rooms. There's 2 rooms there, and she keeps coming out of the room, and she keeps looking to watch who's coming up next. Like she's a innkeeper that watches the house.
Well, Charlotte, you said that at one point that they served more than food and refreshment here at the Harmony Inn.
Oh, yeah.
At one time they did. They did. There was a lot of different activities going on up here. The speakeasy, there was a lot of cards. There was a lot of people here with consumption, because the nurse that worked here with the children, she told me that there was a lot of people that were affected by that. And as you said, that was overuse of alcohol. That was like cirrhosis of the liver. So there was a lot going on here. Yeah, they served more than eggs.
This is a party tonight.
That's for sure.
There's celebration all throughout the place. You know, there's a little bit of fun and activities going on too, extracurricular activities. I can't even get that word out.
I don't know if we can film that, though.
But you can feel that energy.
Okay, but what about the children? Why so many children around here, and why so many children in spirit? Did they pass because of tuberculosis? Did they pass because of influenza at the time?
It's stuff in the lungs. It's like TB, and it's stuff attaching to the lungs. And
Pleurisy, as they said.
They're quarantined. I can feel them. I can feel the women and the men watching the children, but the children were, quarantined up to the 3rd floor, and put up there. And I picked up 8 little ones, especially that little Calvin. That little Calvin little boy keeps coming in and out of the room to the right here, and you can start. You just sense their energy, and you just want to help them to be calm. And they're calm. They're just running around because people are here and they're laughing. People are in the bar laughing, and people are in the restaurant laughing, and they have children. And I want to point out one more thing that was pretty fascinating. There were children in the restaurant this evening, and those little girls, one was probably 4, one was probably about 5, 4, and they were looking all around, and they kept saying to their mommy, they were talking to somebody, and there was nobody standing there. And the mother kept telling her to be real quiet, and that's the 2 little ones, and that's how the kids talk when you bring them in here. They see everybody because the kids talk. Why does it seem? Why does it seem that the children are able to pick up on these things more than adults? Do we become too cynical? Oh, absolutely. But kids are fresh from heaven. Kids have no limitations on energy. They love everybody.
We as parents teach them limitations.
That's why the little ones just run around here.
That's one of the reasons that we closed down our intuitive, is because as children, our parents tell us, oh, it's your imagination, go to sleep, there's nothing here. There's nothing to bother you. But little Calvin, just as we're talking here, he's coming through, and there has to be, we need to ask Chris, but there has to be sounds of a ball bouncing down these steps, because it just went down etherically, because he's playing with a ball. So there has to be some kind of noises on these steps all the time.
And why is it that you're picking up on these things, and you say there's a ball bouncing down the steps, and I'm looking for it, but I don't see it?
You may hear it after the taping's done.
Okay.
You may hear it after. You may see it. You may get the spotlight on the camera, afterwards. But I can feel somebody grabbing my leg. I feel like there's a little one beside me right now. Except be behind this banister. I feel someone standing just about right here.
You're getting a Southern woman because your voice
just changed. She just all come on up here. Did you hear her?
Yeah.
I'm picking up Maryland and West Virginia really strong right now, and I'm picking
that's
up Ohio.
Civil War time.
So I got people here came in from Ohio, came in from West Virginia, came in from Maryland. They're talking about Gettysburg. So we have 2 gentlemen here. It's dressed in uniforms talking about Gettysburg stuff.
A lot of political things
here. So there's
here
some political
at this
things,
point
yeah.
In that era.
But we talk about these things in terms of, at Halloween time, we talk about hauntings, we talk about ghosts, we talk about spirits. You, of course, EILEEN and Charlotte, are the angel ladies. What is the difference in the energy that goes on, and the difference in how we relate to this unknown?
Well, like attracts like. And the difference in when we ask for the angels to be present is our God's source of energy. And when people are watching the show and they think, oh, that place is really haunted and terrific, horrific things happened there, how could that spirit still stay there? I thought they all went to Heavenly Light. They do go to Heavenly Light. Some aren't always good spirits, and the negative keeps them where they were released of their life body, their physical body.
Or the greed. The greed. A lot of people are really greedy in the living, and they want to hold on to the money, and they want to make sure that their family doesn't inherit any money. And there's a lot of things like that happen.
And a fascinating thing that occurs, You know, it's so important that when you understand the God source of energy, that you like attracts like. So
No fear.
no fear. And that's our children, you know. Like attracts like. Kids want
Pure
to be
light.
happy and they're pure light. So that's a very strong thing that they can see the other side very easily. And they don't see the bad. They see the little ones coming through to tell them, and they may be related, or they may be just living in that house and they love that house, and they're shown how they played with their balls and their jacks, and how they played cards, and you know how they've had a model airplane. And that's the kind of thing that we see. Can we see the things that give us the creeps? Absolutely.
There are lots of nooks and crannies and rooms at the Harmony Inn. Let's go find more with the Angel Ladies. The Harmony Inn, built in 1856. We're on the 3rd floor now, and we're hearing voices, and not only that, it's hard to breathe for the Angel Ladies, and it's not because we just climbed a couple of flights of steps. Eileen, you're picking up on something in what you call the gold room here.
Yeah, it's a golden room. There's a lot of gold light when we first enter the room, and there's a lot of children. There's a lot of prayers being said around the kids. There's a lot of suffering here because the kids are having hard times with their lungs and they can't breathe, and their keeper feels like a few of them don't have their moms with them. Feels like there's a lady taking care of them that has the disease as well. And a lot of sadness in the room, but it's golden light because you can see the kids in the golden light, the golden hue of the angels. So that presence is nice. And there's a lady called Alma. She keeps calling herself Alma, almost like Alma.
Alma.
Alma, like German, you know, Alma, like that.
And the 3rd floor here at the Harmony Inn isn't used nowadays for anything but storage. So not too many visitors come here. Charlotte, does that mean that it would be more of a prevalent place for the spirits to gather?
Whenever you have a room that has a lot of things that are stacked, it's not really good to have it's not good energy to have things stacked because it confines what's already in the space. So in this area, because these children, a lot of the children didn't have parents, and you know, because they were either in the war or whatever. Times were really tough then. And the lady that took care of these children here, you know, her imprints all over in this area, just like it was downstairs. Downstairs is where she took, you know, the children that weren't as affected by the disease. But this is the area where they took their
They're singing a song.
last breath.
You hear that song?
Have a little talk with Jesus. Tell him all about your sorrows. Yeah, I heard that.
Oh, yeah?
And there's
I
like
heard
a
that.
rocking song.
Yeah, but stacked things
Like
do keep energy.
Rockabye Baby, they're singing.
What's going on all
My
around us?
Sweet Baby. You feel it?
Didn't
starting
you
to
hear the
sense it?
creaking of the floors over there?
You feel the sensing? You starting to sense it because there's a lot of activity. Yeah, she's saying, "Oh, sweet baby." She's patting their heads with wet cloths, and you know.
Why are they talking to you? Why they're not talking directly to you, but it seems as though you're communicating with them on some level.
They're communicating. The lady is talking about the energy that has gone on in the room over the years, and she sees the room as it was. She doesn't see it as it is. No. She stays to watch over the children because no one comes for these children, and she's taking care of them, even though lots of activity on the 2nd floor she's talking about. A lot of people just care on their own lives, which is fine, but she prays with the kids and guards the children. And so there's light going up, you know, out of the house. And, you know, there's many activities going on in the house, but you can feel them coming through strongly.
And if
there's a Nathan.
If the spirits are confined to any particular area, there's a window directly behind you ladies. Do they see the outside world? Are they capable of, if you're standing outside looking up?
The children aren't stuck. They come in and out. Gold light. They come in and out, you understand? It's the woman that thinks that she has to keep taking care of them that contains them for that. And then they walk in and out looking for their mother, and then they finally go to their mother. You understand that?
I would imagine that if anyone would see anything out the window, it would be her. It would be Alma.
Oh, yeah.
Because she's the one that I saw when we pulled up.
They look out. They look out. They stay contained to finish things because, see...
Right.
And this is really fascinating because you asked us a question downstairs if when they do work on the the mansion
Right,
here.
when they remodel.
Well, like in this room, there's a lot of stuff that needs tidied up. So her energy is going to get more intense the longer we stay in here, because she's fussing. She's got a broom and she's sweeping, and there's a broom over there on the other side of the room actually laying down. So I expect that broom to get up by itself if Alma could pick it up, but that's the energy. She wants to clean everything up and tidy the boxes and get them out of here because there's not enough room now. So that could make this room really noisy, Chris.
It could. It could be.
Really
Could you
noisy.
hear footsteps up here every once in a while because there's a lot of activity here?
Yeah.
But this is the room that they came to die.
Yeah.
This was the
There's
room
3 of them.
that
One, two,
whenever
three.
they got very serious, they went from the second floor to from that one little room where they were fed to that room, and then when they got very serious, this is their last stop. This was the last room.
So it's a blessing in a lot of ways. It's a blessing in a lot of ways because of the energy that comes through and how she took care of everything.
You getting the chills?
Well, you said this is the room where they died, and I thought, wow, maybe
Yeah.
we shouldn't be in here. But
Oh,
then, in many places,
No, because you honor that energy, and then you release that energy out.
That's true.
when it gets close to Halloween time, and people go out and they try and look for ghosts, and they go to cemeteries and places like this, and they also there's people attempt to do seances.
Yeah.
What does and perhaps even in this room,
Yeah,
there was a
there
seance.
was a seance in here. I can tell you that right
Rumor
now.
has it.
Well, how does
yes.
that? What impact does that have on the spirit world?
Well, it rattles them up, and you shouldn't be rattling them up. You're
sometime-
rattling the spirit up. To
Like
Sometimes they
Beetlejuice or
watch
something?
you too. It's
Beetlejuice.
like, what's the matter with you? I'm right here. It's
kinda
because
laugh at
we
you.
are actually spirit beings in a physical form, and our true form is spirit. And when we release the physical body, that's when we're free. And the spirit people, they feel like that's the expression heaven, because they feel like they have no encumbrances at all. They're happy, and they walk back and forth all the time. There's relatives all in this room of people that are living now, because they come back
they're
and
all
forth.
talking. Everybody's
So
talking.
seances aren't necessary. Graveyards are certainly not necessary, because the spirit walks with us. Love never dies. It just changes form.
And while you're talking, Charlotte, Eileen, you look like you're in another world
Oh
there.
yeah, because
What's
I
going
feel
on?
everyone surrounding me, and you're talking about the seance energy, and what should I, how do people? I always worry about the
Children.
kids. I always worry about the kids doing that type of energy because, for the skeptics out there that don't believe, you live and breathe, and then you evaporate, and the energy of children are so bright. They're such a bright, shining light that when they attempt this, and whoever's older with them and trying to attempt that energy, they can attract something that brings harm to them because they may not be using their God source. And then that's the part that you hear, and that's the part that you see that gets a little bit whacked out. And that's the part that I always like to say, you know what, throw the Ouija boards at. Because it's not a good tool.
There's always duality.
Yeah, there's duality.
Michael, there's always duality. In the physical world, there's good people, there's bad people. In the spirit world, there's good people, there's bad people.
they're all lining
And
up.
when
It's
Eileen
knitting.
said, like attracts like, 100% of the time. So the physical people would attract good spirit people if they were good people, but there's still a duality out there. So you need to have a little spiritual wisdom before you do something like a seance.
And I'll tell you something else. If the house this evening, is not quiet to us. It's
Not
very
at all.
noisy. And the energy, we're coming towards Halloween. The vortex gets lighter. That's the whole key to Halloween. And it does it all the time. Even Christmas time, it would be very thin, and you would be able to talk to that energy. And the fascinating part on it when you're doing a show like this is that they want to talk and they want to get their message through that their life was happy and that their life did complete and did expire, but that they left a great residue of energy for everybody else to sense. And that's what the excitement is like tonight, that they're getting to show off.
Very good.
They're getting to show off.
Ah, well, and EILEEN and Charlotte are the Angel Ladies, and they've been kind enough to go on this tour of historic Harmony and the Harmony Inn with us this evening. And EILEEN said it's getting kind of crowded in this room. They're all starting to line up, so maybe we ought to make room for them. But before we do that, EILEEN and Charlotte, you guys have seminars coming up.
Oh,
Do you want to
yes.
talk about that?
Yes. We have a seminar coming up in December. We'll do one, and then we'll start the rest of them in the new year, starting February on till April.
And what do you do with those seminars?
And we're
Teach people how to get
We're
in?
going to teach people how to connect with, reaching out to the angels that work with you
We
on
believe,
a daily basis.
yeah, the seminars for the living. And,
Yes.
and it's to teach them how to manifest what they want in their life.
In December.
And for the new year. But more important than that, how to get in touch with their angels, how to be able to
yeah.
connect with them, and know beyond a shadow of a doubt that they're not alone, that they're being guided and directed by their angels. So that's what we intend to do.
Faces and Places. I'm your host, Mike Romai. We were reaching out and touching the angels tonight at the Harmony Inn in historic Harmony. Thank you, ladies.
Angels
You're
be
welcome.
with
Angels be
you.
with you.